intelligent life on Earth, one of those much higher primates whose love, logic, radical stubbornness, courage, and passion awaken the rest of us to our ability and our responsibility to save the world. She wrote 3 years ago, "By nature, I'm an optimist. To me, all glasses are half full." And yet, she didn't shrink from reporting bad news, always blended with encouragement about how to do better. She treated the future as choice, not fate. As choice, not fate. And she defined with luminous clarity how to do as one sometimes must what is necessary. She shared Randy Dubois' view that despair is a sin. So when asked if we have enough time to prevent catastrophe, she'd always say, "We have exactly enough time, starting now." 2 years ago, when emailing an unusually somber column about events that made her weep, she added the following note as counterpoint. A CEO was having to babysit for his young daughter. He was trying to read the paper, but was totally frustrated by the constant interruptions. When he came across a full-page picture of NASA's photo of the Earth from space, he got a brilliant idea. He ripped it up into small pieces and told his child to try to put it back together. He then settled in for what he expected to be a good half hour of peace and quiet. But only a few minutes went by before his daughter appeared at his side with a big grin on her face. "You finished already?" he asked. "Yes," she replied. "How did you do it?" "Well, I saw there was a picture of a person on the other side. So when I put the person together, the Earth got put together too." There is so much for me to admire in that eulogy. The conviction that the future is our choice, not our fate. That when you put people together, you put the planet together. That there's nothing in the universe quite as powerful as 6 billion minds wrapping around one problem. And most of all, the best expression of sober optimism I've ever heard. We have exactly enough time, starting now. Friends, you've heard this before, but I can't reinforce it enough. We are at a really critical point. We need to get back to work as the regeneration on our country and on our planet. The hour is late. The project couldn't be harder. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the payoff couldn't be greater. And we have exactly enough time, starting now. Thank you very much.
I think we all know that we have a rock star in our midst, and he says that normally he gets business cards. So we have a business card for you. We have a hotel room because you're also that kind of rock star, a key for the hotel room. All right, Tom, if you don't mind sitting in the middle. What we're going to do for the next few minutes, we have the governor with us for a few moments, which is a treat. You know, he has a busy schedule, and him and Daryl are working on budget situations, but he came over. He's been campaigning up and down the state on behalf of AB 32, and he wanted to come here today to participate in a brief discussion, so we'll get a chance to ask the governor some questions as well as Tom Friedman. So let's give a round of applause to Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. All right, are we ready? Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to jump in. Governor, I want to thank you again for just your bold leadership for AB 32. I mean, as a landmark legislation. In terms of reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So my first question for you is, when you think about Proposition 23, you know, it is asking that we suspend AB 32 until California's unemployment rate returns to 5.5%. That has only happened 3 times in 40 years, and most people don't know that. So give us your thought. Is this something that we're really trying to suspend, or is it a repeal?
Well, first of all, let me just say thank you for hosting this event here today, and you've been a great leader here in the city of Sacramento and inspire so many other mayors from around the nation to do the same thing you do. So let's give a big hand to Mayor Johnson. And I mean, what can I say about Tom Friedman? I mean, I love his work, I love his mind, I love his enthusiasm and fighting this war with us. And it's so great to have somebody that is so articulate and that explains it so well and travels around, not only around the country, but around the world to get out the good message. So, you know, it's great for you to come out here again. You were at my Global Climate Summit several times, and I hope that you come back again this year. So let's give a big hand also to Tom Friedman for the great work that he's doing. But I think that it is very clear that the oil companies from outside the state that are trying to take out AB 32 and try to take out our environmental laws, you know, have no interest really in suspending it, but just to get rid of it. They want to kill AB 32. Otherwise, they wouldn't put this provision in there with the 5.5% unemployment rate, because, like you said, we have never had that. You know, it's very rare that California in the last 40 years had an unemployment rate of below 5.5% for, you know, 4 consecutive quarters. I mean, I think that's very clear. They want to take it out. They're not interested also in our environment. They're only interested in greed and filling their pockets with more money. And they're very deceptive with their campaign when they say they want to go and create more jobs in California. Because, I mean, since when has the oil company ever been interested in jobs? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's like it sounds crazy. If they really are interested in jobs, they would want to protect AB 32, because actually it's green technology that is creating the most jobs right now in California and elsewhere in the water sector.
Thanks, Governor. I'm going to ask one question to Tom on this, if you don't mind. You know, you certainly have a global perspective and a national perspective. And in your book, Hot, Flat, and Crowded, you talk about how California is kind of a trend center. So what do you think would be the impact if AB 32 is turned back or repealed or suspended? And how might that impact federal policy from a standpoint of a national energy policy?
I think it would be a disaster for the state. You know, I'm a big believer that California is to America what Off-Broadway is to Broadway, okay? You're a great laboratory of ideas, but not just a laboratory. You can take things to scale because of your size. And if you just think of what the argument I've been trying to make, who's going to win this? Who's going to win this? It's the country that puts in place that ecosystem of rules, standards, regulations that its companies have to meet. And imagine all these green companies in California, because they have to meet the high standard that the governor's been so essential in putting into place. Once they've met that, they can beat everybody in the world, okay? Because you have the highest standards. You got to meet them in California. There's nobody going to touch you. Yeah. So standards actually are a huge source of innovation. They're aspirational. Now, what's happening on the national level? Those same oil companies killed the energy bill. I don't know where the Congress is going to go after the midterm, but it's possible, friends, that we may not have an energy bill for 2 or 3 more years. There's just one thing I'm going to assure you. China is not going to go 3 years without an energy bill. Okay. I just want to tell one little story, and the governor will appreciate it because it's a California company. I just came from Tianjin, China. I was there for an economic conference. And while I was there, I met a great American energy innovator, one of those guys with the thrust from below. California company, Richmond, California governor. His name's Mike Biddle, and his company's called MBA Polymers. I wrote about it. Now, what does this company do? He invented a process here in California, thanks to state and federal research grants, okay, from DOE and NIST and Department of Commerce. He invented a process to take any pile of junk, you put it through his recycling black box, and out comes recyclable plastic in exactly the form the plastic industry wants. It's such an innovative process that last Sunday, The Economist magazine named him the Energy Environment Innovator in the World for 2010. California guy, okay? So I met him, product of your state, your standards. I met him, though, in Tianjin, China. Why was Mike there? Because he's got 25 employees in Richmond, and he has 250 in the EU and China, and growing. Why is that? Because the EU and China, about to, EU already has, passed a law that said anything with a cord or a battery in it has to be recycled at the cost of the manufacturer. Now, what that does, Mike Biddle says, my business, he says, Governor, he says, I'm in above ground mining. I need above ground mines. I need piles of recyclable stuff. Do you know what we do with most of our recycled stuff? We put it on ships and send it to China. So Mike had enough money to hire one little lobbyist to see if he could get into our energy bill, the same law in China and the EU, so he could scale his business here. Unfortunately, there was no energy bill. So his story, friends, that's like the story. It is a microcosm of America today. We got the entrepreneurs. We have the innovators. We have the thrust coming up. But our booster rocket, Washington, D.C., isn't putting in place at a national level what you did here in California, the AB 32 for the whole country. So we create the market to scale the business here. Don't worry about Mike Biddle. He's going to scale. And one day, it's going to come to a neighborhood near you, and the directions are going to be in Mandarin. Have a nice day.
I just want to add that when you say that we will not see an energy bill in Washington, I'm absolutely convinced that if we are successful, and we are going to be successful in pushing back and beating Proposition 23, if we are successful with that, you will see that we will have the power of influencing Washington and to go and have another energy bill ready, an environmental bill ready next year. Because that is California has always been the mode of the law. And this is why it is so important that we win this, because those oil companies have been very successful in scaring everyone in Washington this year, and they took out the energy bill. They took it out the day no one even talks about cap and trade or anything else with energy or environment or anything, because they're so worried about it, because we're just being 5 weeks away from election day. And so they know that this is really the only place left.
This is the last
that is still fighting and is really having great environmental policies. So if they can take us out, then they could be successful and do exactly what you say. You probably won't see an energy bill for years and years and years to come. And this is why this fight is so important. And we know they're going to spend probably $40 billion in this campaign. So this is why it's important for people to really join forces here. We raise the money and we all go out, that each one of you goes out and convinces 10 more people and explains to them why this is so important. Because we can beat it. I mean, companies that have put a lot of money into campaigns have been beaten in the past, just recently. So I think we can, I know we can do it. So let's go all join together and vote no on Proposition 23.
Whenever the governor and I get together, we get this juice going. But let me just say one thing. As the saying goes, I agree with every word he said, including and the. Okay, that's all I want you to know.
Governor, let me ask you this. I mean, in terms of your incredible leadership amongst governors internationally and all the things that you've done, California, whether you like AB 32 or not, we can't deny that California has the largest wind project, the largest solar power plant. We're the leader when it comes to clean technology businesses.